Welcome, everyone, to the Art of Transforming Your Life, Take Back Your Life webinar. We are here to help you learn how to strengthen, enhance, love, and free yourself. We want you to be able to meet your instructions. I'm Kim Jewell. I'm the founder of Art of Transforming Lives, an NLP trainer, master behavioral specialist, trauma-informed EFT practitioner, and I'm excited to help you achieve all your goals. We also have Carolyn here, and Carolyn is a fully certified EFT practitioner, business and life coach, sales training expert, and she is excited to help you achieve all of your goals as well.
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Kim. Kim loves talking about transformation. Kim is one of the world's leading mindset behavioral specialists and coach. She's a renowned behaviorist specializing in emotional healing, informed trauma technique, addiction protocols, and coaching along the way. But Kim, please share with everybody a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, I'd love to do that. Thanks, Carolyn. So, I am the sixth child out of 10 children. My father was in the military. My mom's originally from Canada. We moved every 6 months of my life right up to the time I was 8 years of age. I had a few early childhood traumas. And then when I was 8, my mother almost died in childbirth. She, thank goodness, didn't die, but it was a very traumatic time in my life. That same year, I had an issue with some sexual abuse by a family member, but also my older brother fell off a high dive and almost died because he landed half on the concrete and half in the pool. Spent 3 months in a coma in a hospital. He survived also. But as we move on through my life, when I was 14, my mom decided we needed to go to Canada to meet her family because we had never been there. My cousins thought it was crazy that I could be almost 14 years of age and I'd never smoked and never tried anything exciting. So they made it their mission to teach me how to smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. I didn't like the cigarettes at all. I started getting sick. Every smoke they gave me, I got sicker and sicker. I loved the alcohol, but then they gave me the very last cigarette and I took one hit off of it. My whole body went, ooh, and my addiction was born because what that cigarette was actually pot. From there, I spent 3 months in Canada, came home, and was on the trajectory towards my addiction. At 17, my dad said to me, "You know what, Kim, you have a problem with alcohol and drugs. You need to get some help or you need to move out." And of course, me being 17, I was like, "See ya, I'm out of here." I moved out, things went downhill. I'd moved away from home, lived down in Florida for a very long time. And when I was 24, my dad gave me a call and said, "You haven't seen your mom in 3 years. I think it's time you come home." I decided to teach my dad a lesson. I sobered up, got on the Greyhound bus. I went home. I had the best 48 hours with my dad. And on Easter Saturday, he came home from doing some shopping. He put a bottle of Jack Daniels on the counter and said, "I'm a big man. I can admit when I'm wrong." We sat down to eat dinner, and my dad promptly dropped dead at the dinner table from a pulmonary embolism. So you can just imagine how traumatic that was. I was 24 years of age. It took me 2 more years after that to get clean and sober, but I managed to get clean and sober at 26. I was doing everything that everybody told me. I did a 12-step program. I was going to psychologists. I was going to psychiatrists. And they were all telling me I was a hopeless cause, that they couldn't help me. When I was 12 years clean, my little brother who helped me get clean passed away. It was excruciatingly painful for me because he was like my best friend. A couple days after his death, I found myself on my kitchen floor with my 3 young kids, rocking back and forth with every cell of my body wanting to use. And I was pretty upset about it because I wanted to break the pattern. I didn't know what to do, so I didn't budge until that sensation passed. And it did eventually pass. It just took 4 hours for it to pass. And when I got up, I was mad at God. I was mad at the psychologist. I was mad at the psychiatrist. I was mad at the 12-step programs because I had done everything they told me. When I got up, I decided there's got to be a different way, and I'm going to find a way out because I knew this was about emotions and trauma. From there, I went on and I started to study the journey with Brandon Bays. I studied NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. I became a master practitioner. Then I became a trainer. I studied hypnosis. As I was taking my training for Train the Trainer with NLP, I came across a video where a guy was using tapping, and I knew exactly what he was doing and why it was working. So I went in and studied that modality as well. Along the way, I found the way out. I slowly started healing all of the traumas that were inside of me, and my world changed. I went from being constantly triggered and constantly upset to being a very calm, centered parent. My anxiety that had plagued me through the first 12 years of my sobriety was gone. I made my decision then that I was going to share this with as many people as I could because there is a way out. And no matter what you're feeling, that's why we're here today, is to help you find the way out.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. And right now, I would really like to introduce you guys to Carolyn. Carolyn's passion lies in helping people reach their highest potential. For the last 18 years, she has spent most of her time in the business world in sales and marketing, helping sales teams reach their highest goals personally and professionally. Carolyn specializes in mindset training and business coaching. Carolyn, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kim. So I am the oldest of 9 children. I was born and raised in an Amish family, and as you can imagine, that in itself has come with a lot of its own set of uniqueness and some trauma. As the oldest of 9, I took on the responsibility of helping my siblings as we were raised in a very volatile atmosphere. At 28 years old, I left the Amish. I lost all my friends and I started life over. And I was faced with a whole new set of challenges. I found myself working at a counseling center, helping others, which brought up a lot of my own trauma that I had not dealt with. And at this time, honestly, didn't even know I had trauma in my life. I had no idea nor the skills on how to actually deal with this trauma. And so, in the midst of all that was going on within myself, I sought help from the head counselors at the center, who also had no idea how to help me. And consequently, that worsened my trauma. I told myself that I knew there was an answer, and I would not stop until I found the answer that would help me, the answer that I was looking for. It was a 10-year journey to finding the answer that finally allowed me to heal my childhood pain. In 2017, I met Kim and I started coaching with her. It was life-changing. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was a hopeless case and that there was actually help available out of my pain. And that is why I'm passionate about this work. Not only had I been helping others already back 20 years ago, but in my own journey of healing. And with the help that I got from Kim, that is why I teamed up with her to bring this work to the States and show others that they too can heal and find the answers that they're looking for. So I'm very passionate about what we're doing here right now. And part of the reason for this webinar right here is to talk about our Take Back Your Life seminar that is coming up in August. So if you find yourself stuck in cycles that keep repeating and you want to break the cycle and empower yourself and also learn how to redesign your life, this is the seminar for you. What you will get from the seminar is you're going to leave equipped with practical tools to break free from the mental prison of racing thoughts, stress, anxiety, and addictions. This will be put on by Kim and myself. You will learn a personal growth system that allows you to experience real-time results. You'll learn self-mastery in a simple and highly effective method, creating So what we want to do here now is we want to dive a little bit into a very short version of some of the content that you will be getting at the seminar. This is going to be a short, but on the 4-day event that we'll talk more about later at the end of this webinar here, we're going to give you more details. In that 4-day event, we're going to dive a lot deeper into all of the content that we are about to go over right now. I want to talk a little bit about my journey here. Coming to this fork in the road, which way do I go? One of my favorite sayings comes from Alice in Wonderland. Alice came to the fork in the road and she asked the cat who was sitting in the tree, "What road do I take?" The cat said, "Where do you want to go?" And Alice said, "I don't know." And the cat said, "Well, then it doesn't really matter, does it?" So we want to dive a little bit into where we are. It's very important if we want to look at where we want to go. It's very important first to start off with where we are. I want to talk about the web of life. This is the whole web of our entire life. Personal growth, family and home, self-image, spiritual, mental and emotional, fun and recreational, health and physical, social life and friends, finances, our contributions, career, business, romance, and love. We're only going to dive into a few of these right here. But at the 4-day seminar, we are going to dive into all of these. So grab a pen and paper right now. If you don't have one, I'll give you a couple minutes to grab a pen and paper so that you can jot down some of this information. And I'm going to be giving you a little bit of work here. We're going to dive into your self-image first. I'm going to ask you a few questions and I'm going to put up on the screen here in just a minute for you to reflect on. You're going to give yourself the score in your self-image of 0 to 10, with 10 being the highest of how you view yourself. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and these questions are just for self-reflection, just to get your thinking going and to allow yourself to get as accurate of a number as possible. In looking at your self-image, think about, do I compare myself with others? Just think about that for a little bit. How much negative self-talk do I have? What skills and talents do I possess that I'm proud of? When we do this overview and we give ourselves a number here, it's important that we also look at the good sides, not just the negative. Are there differences between how I perceive myself and how others perceive me? How accepting am I of my flaws and imperfections? So now give yourself a number on a scale of 1 to 10, and again, 10 being the highest, on self-image, how you view yourself. Okay? Write that number down on your paper just for yourself. We're going to go into mental and emotional now. We're going to do the same thing here. Just going to take a little look into where we are at mentally and emotionally. Question: how clear and focused is my thinking? How often do I feel stressed or anxious? Am I able to identify and label my feelings accurately? Do I have healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with negative emotions? Do I experience a sense of peace and contentment in my life? Do I feel balanced in my mental and emotional life? Again, here, give yourself a number on a scale of 1 to 10 on how you would rate your mental and emotional life. And then we're going to dive into the next one. We're going to dive into finances. Do I have a stable and sufficient source of income? Am I saving a portion of my income regularly? Do I have an emergency fund that can cover 3 to 6 months of expenses? Do I have a budget, and am I sticking to it? Am I spending money on needs before wants? Am I able to manage and pay off my debts effectively? Do I have a retirement plan? And am I contributing to it regularly? So again, on finances, give yourself a number on a scale of 1 to 10. We're going to go into career and business. Do I enjoy the work I do on a daily basis? Do I feel a sense of purpose and fulfillment in my role? Am I utilizing my skills and talents to their fullest potential? Am I satisfied with my current salary or my business revenue, if you're in business for yourself? Do I feel valued and respected by my colleagues and supervisors? Is the company culture aligned with my personal values and beliefs? Do I have a clear vision for my future and the steps needed to get there? And again, here, give yourself a number on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest on career or business. Now we're going to dive into romance and love. Am I happy with my current romantic situation? Why or why not? Do I feel emotionally connected to my partner? Am I satisfied with the level of physical intimacy in my relationship? Do we support each other's personal growth and goals? Am I excited about the future of this relationship? How do we handle our differences and individual interests? Do we both contribute equally to the relationship? And again, give yourself a number on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, we're going to dive into fun and recreational. How often do I engage in fun or recreational activities? Am I trying new activities or sticking to the same ones? Do I feel connected and engaged with others in these activities? Am I able to pursue my personal interests and hobbies regularly? Am I able to balance my work and responsibilities with leisure time? Do I feel a sense of achievement and growth from my leisure pursuits? Give yourself a number on a scale of 1 to 10. So now hopefully in this exercise, you've been able to give yourself a little bit of an overview of where you are at in your life. And I know we didn't go through all of them. There's some others on there that you may have found that were even more important to you than the ones that we went over. We'll go over all of them at the event. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over to Kim now, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this. Go ahead,
Thanks,
Kim.
Carolyn. So, one of the things that I want to say is one of the reasons we did the web of life is because we don't know where to start until we have a good look at where we're at with all of that. So, let's start with what we're going to learn today. We're going to look at some of the different stages of awareness that happen when we make the decision to seek change. We're going to talk about why willpower isn't effective or enough to sustain any long term change that we're trying to make. We'll also go through the river of uncertainty and how everyone traverses this river of uncertainty whenever they make a decision to change anything in our life. Okay, then we'll look at some of the tools needed to successfully cross the river of uncertainty and to achieve that desired outcome that we're looking for. First, no matter what the reason for change, it all starts with a decision. And at this point, the enthusiasm and the willpower are really high. That's the point that we step into that river of uncertainty that I was talking about. The analytical mind is fully engaged and there's a willingness to make the change. Before we know it, doubt starts to kick in. And our mind starts telling us, can we really change? I don't know. Can I do this? I really kind of want to make the change, but I'm not sure whether I can. And then the mind starts to reference past failures, past fears, all of our doubts. Any of those unresolved emotions start to rise up and appear to validate the doubt that we're feeling. From that point, the fear and the uncertainty starts to rise about reaching that goal. The mind steps up its little mind chatter just a little bit more with even more fear and more doubt. I don't know. Do you have it in you? I don't know if you've got enough. I don't know if you're going to be able to make it. And we start to go, oh, I don't know, because the mind gets so loud. Then we hit the point that most people are afraid of the most. It's called the unknown. We are no longer our past, but we are not our future yet either. This is one of the most crucial points or steps on the journey of change. You're not familiar with that predictable past anymore, and yet you're not your desired outcome yet. Your mind is screaming at you, you can't do this. This is stupid. I don't know what made you think you could do this. And it's really loud. And it's so loud that 90% of us are going to jump right back to that safe, familiar past that we know. And that's why so many people, when they go to initiate change, give up at this point. So let's look at why some of this happens. One of the first questions I want you to ask yourself is, what do you believe is the reason that we have problems? Do we think that we have problems because of some of the relationships in our life? Is it because my past? Is it the genetics? Is that why I can't exercise as much as I want to? Is it God's plan for us? Was it my teachers who initiated all that self doubt? Was it the trauma I experienced? Was it my family? Was it school or religion or bad karma? Was it, the economy? Was it the traditions that my parents brought me up with? Was it because I sinned? Is it because I have a virus? Is it because of life lessons? Is it because of my past lives? Is it because of my culture? This is what most of us think. But I want you to have a look at this tree. If we were to chop off any of the limbs of this tree, the tree still remains, doesn't it? Where our problems really began, what we really want to understand is the root of our problems. So when you look at below the tree and you go down to the roots, we're going to start to find out about adverse childhood experiences that we've had, the belief systems and the cultures that our parents and our caregivers gave us, the beliefs and the meaning that we gave about these things, how we perceived them, the culture that we were raised in, the type of relationship and the order in the family that we were in as we were growing up, any trauma that we might have had at birth, any ancestral trauma that our family might have experienced. This is where we're at the root of the problems. And what we want to do is go in and take those roots out. One of the things I like to talk about at this point is, what have you ever wondered how we keep repeating our problems over and over and over again? I like to call it the hamster wheel of problems. We are raised in the environment that we're raised in, and we have started our life with these internal references that we've picked up from our caregivers. That basically means there are beliefs or our perceptions. Then we're going to have something happen, an event happens. Someone laughs at us at school, or we get in trouble at school. It becomes one or multiple triggers. We have a reaction to that trigger. And when we have that reaction, we have either an unconscious or a conscious reaction to what happened. Then the mind quickly jumps in and starts to create judgments. We make these judgments about our reactions and they become our proofs. Those proofs then go on to create more references for us to avoid because of these judgments that we've made. Next thing we know, we've got more triggers. There are new internal references and therefore there are more triggers out in the world, which create a bigger emotional reaction. So we react emotionally to these triggers, creating even more proofs. The more we do that, we hit that stage of what we call avoidance. There's an urge to avoid or escape or numb out. It just increases and increases. And what most of us do is we just go round and round and round. We keep thinking that we are going to find the solution, but we keep
Mm.
repeating the same patterns. So you remember me describing at the very beginning here, the river of uncertainty. Let me give you a diagram of what that looks like. When you want to make a change, you have this present moment now, what you are holding inside of you. We call it your familiar current situation. It usually has fear and anxiety and uncertainty and trauma and stress and whatever else we're holding in that moment. We want to reach the desired present moment, which is our unfamiliar, unpredictable future. That's where we have that peace and that calm and the contentment. We have confidence. We believe in ourselves. You're sitting here on the webinar today, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a decision. And that decision is the first step. You step out into the river. As you get there in that first step, you're feeling pretty confident and your frontal lobe or your analytical mind is fully engaged. You start to move towards booking that or coming to the event that we want you to come to, and doubt kicks in. Well, I don't know, is this really the right thing for me? I don't know, I've tried so many other things, and the doubt just kicks in. This happens no matter what change we're making, whether we're quitting smoking, whether we're buying a new house, whether we're getting married, whether we're changing jobs. As that doubt kicks in, our mind gets a little bit louder. And the next thing you know, we've hit the fear stage or the uncertainty stage. The mind has ramped itself up And it's now just kind of going, what were you thinking? You can't do this. Like if you're buying a house, oh my gosh, how are we going to make the repayments? What if the interest rates goes up? And what if we lose our job? And how are we ever going to be able to afford any of that? The mind just gets really loud. We've managed to hang on though, and then we hit that point called the unknown. This unknown is the point where we're not that old self, but yet we're not the new self where we're feeling confident and strong. It's at this point that 90% of people jump right back into that old comfortable pair of jeans called the familiar current situation. That's where we go, oh, I've tried so many times, but nothing works for me. It's because we've jumped back into the old self. If we had just persevered and hung on, we were one step away from stepping into that new desired reality that we wanted in that moment. So let's talk about where these problems begin. The research shows us that our brain is active and learning how to be a brain from the third trimester of our pregnancy. It's downloading the how and what is a risk from our primary caregivers. With little or no filter, until we're 6 or 7 years of age, our mind just takes in everything. And that at 6 or 7 is when the analytical mind starts to form. The purpose of our mind is simply to keep us, this physiological being, alive and on track. Its whole purpose is to analyze the risk and decide whether we need to be scared of it, to automate programs, and to send messages to our body. As infants and children, these events happen that are out of our control. The mind gets busy finding ways for us to perceive how we can stay safe. Then, as we get older, the mind uses these outdated coping strategies to navigate the world that we're living in the present moment. But we are not the same as we were when we were those little kids. And until we stop and gain understanding of these unprocessed emotions and traumas, the mind will continue to operate on the outdated system. What I like to say here is if you had a computer from 1990 and I asked you to do your job right now with that computer from 1990, would it be as effective? It wouldn't be, would it? So the brain uses certain building blocks to be a brain. And one of the things to do that, the brain uses images and sounds and sensations and smells and taste and thoughts. That's how we code our reality. We have a perception of something, we give it memory, we give it forms of memory, and we give it beliefs and meaning. From there, right from the time that we're born, our brain is constantly taking in all of that information. I think it's like 4 million bits of information in any given second that our unconscious mind can take in. But our conscious mind can only take into up to 2,000 bits of information in any given second. So if you look at these building blocks, this is what I was just talking about before. How the mind does is it uses the sensations, the sounds, the smells, the taste, and the thoughts to build our reality and the images. Any unresolved emotion starts to rise and appears to validate any doubt that we have. We have this original event that happens that we've given meaning to, and from that we build on it with more memories and become that proof that we were talking about in the hamster wheel of problems. I call this the filing cabinet of the mind. Now, when I'm describing this, what I like to do is I like to say, you open up the filing cabinet and you've got all these files in the filing cabinet. Well, when you were happy and playing in the backyard on your tricycle, that's way back in the back of the filing cabinet. But if you got bullied at school, that's going to be up front with a red flag on it. And that's how the mind is storing this information based on the emotional charge at the time of the event and what your perception was at that moment. So if you have a look at this image I've got here, this is what we're calling the developed mind. What the first thing you're going to notice is under the water, there's a lot more iceberg than anywhere else. You're going to see these green pluses and red minuses. Basically, what these are positive and negative experiences. And all of these experiences, all the perceptions of those, all of the images, the sounds, the sensations, the smells, and the taste are stored in this unconscious mind. We all think that we are using our analytical mind to make the decisions. The truth is, the analytical mind only is responsible for 5% of our mental capacity. 5%. What it controls is logic and reasoning, our creativity, our will, and our faith. That 95% that's under the surface, what it controls is our habits and our behaviors. So while we think with our conscious mind, I'm going to quit smoking, the unconscious mind has all this proof that it's holding on to and goes, no, 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 no. We have a bigger benefit for holding on to the smoking. So let me explain to you exactly how the mind works. So I want you to see my fist as your mind. When the fist is curled, that front part of it where your fingers are bent, that represents your frontal lobe or your analytical mind. If you look at the back of the fist, that's your unconscious mind or your cerebellum. That is your long-term memory and unconscious. If I were to peel your skull back, in there where the thumb is, that would be the hippocampus and the hypothalamus. We call that the emotional brain. And on either side of the emotional brain, you have two little organs called amygdala. They're about the size of your little fingernail. These things called the amygdala are responsible for that fight, flight, freeze response. People know so much about the fight, flight, freeze response, but they don't understand the huge impact that it actually has. So if my fist is your brain and I have an event that is similar, that has images or sounds, smells, sensations, taste, or thoughts similar to something that happened in the past, in 0.007th of a millisecond, think about that, 0.007th of a millisecond, faster than you can have a conscious thought, your brain has gone ba-bing. The blood has drained from that frontal lobe. It has drained from your extremities. The blood flow has gone to the center of your body, to all of your organs. You've got 73 chemicals coursing through your body, getting you ready to either fight, to freeze, or to run away, or to people please to stay alive. That is what happens when that happens. So sometimes people think, what's wrong with me? Why did I react that way? Or the reaction was so over the top for what the event was. It's because you're responding from the emotional state of the very first imprint that happened. When this got told to me, it was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? Why hasn't anybody told me this before? I could see where my brain was constantly being triggered and I was reacting to those traumas from my past. Go ahead, Karen.
Which is the filing cabinet of the mind, right, Kim? That's where we
Right.
go to
That's right.
pull up whatever we need to pull up at that time. I love
That's
that.
exactly it. Hmm. So, one of the things that I like to talk about on so many of these things, it's something that's very dear to me. It's called present moment awareness. The reason that it's so important to know about present moment awareness is because we all think we're acting on real time. Most of the time, though, we're not. And if we are not giving our brain a command, it's going to reach back into that unconscious mind. It's going to pull up a program from the past and it's going to bring it forward to this moment and play it out with the amygdala. Or it's going to think about the future and it's going to start worrying about how the future is going to play out. Another way of saying this is our mind's being undisciplined. We haven't told the mind what we want it to do. So if you look at this diagram I have here, the mind is simply a tool and it receives and responds to the input from the exterior world. Its primary purpose is to automate responses, to send messages to the body, and to determine risk. If we're in the fight, flight, freeze all the time, what's happening is we're in survival mode. The brain then is constantly looking for the risk. It gets much bigger. In that survival mode, it's constantly sending danger, danger, danger signals to the body. Now, the body's job is simply to respond to direction. It experiences whatever the mind tells it, and it plays out what the mind holds. The problem with the way this is set up right now is that essence that makes you you, whether you want to call it your soul, your spirit, your essence, it's that little heart in the quarter. It is what is supposed to be running the show. It's supposed to use the mind and the body to experience this world. But it's down there in the corner cowering because the mind is full of fear and worry. When you do present moment awareness and you practice it, you then start disciplining your mind. Have a look at this diagram. Notice what's different here. Notice that that big heart with the arms wrapped around it is much bigger, and that the brain and the body are basically the same size. So that essence that makes you you, whether you call it your spirit or your soul, it's running the show, and it uses the mind and the body to experience this physical realm. When that part of us are in charge, our essence tells the mind what to do. The mind is still just the tool. Its job is still to automate the responses, to send the messages to the body, and to determine risk. The body's job is to respond to that direction. It experiences whatever the mind and the essence is telling it, and it plays out what the mind holds. The difference is when your essence is running the show and you're not in that fight, flight, freeze response, you're more likely to be working and responding in real time or present moment. This moment right here, right now, is the only moment you have power in. It's the only moment you get to make choice, because anything that happened back here in the past, you cannot change it. And what's going to happen in the future, you cannot predict it, because if we could, we would all be millionaires. So living from this place is our point of power. And I share this with you because there's a simple little exercise that you can do that allows you to discipline your mind. And it's as simple as this. When your mind is racing or really busy, you just simply need to say to it, stop. Now, listen closely to what I'm about to say. Tell me three things I can see. Tell me what I can hear in the room I'm in right now. Tell me, this chair I'm sitting in, is it soft or is it hard? Tell me, what taste do I have in my mouth? Is there a smell in this room? Then I personally go, look, and I look in both directions and go, right here, right now, I'm safe. When we're going through that, which sounds very much like mindfulness, except for the wording, tell me what you can see. Tell me what you can hear. Tell me what you can smell. Tell me what you can feel. Tell me what you can taste. You're giving the mind a command, and the mind must follow. A lot of people think that they only have to do this a couple times, but if you think about how many times from the time you were born till this moment when you didn't know what to do and you just relinquished all that power to the mind, and it's been running coping strategies. One of the things that Carolyn and I are wanting to give you in this Take Back Your Life is teaching you how you can use this, and you can transform those coping mechanisms to present day coping mechanisms that are going to allow you to achieve the life and that contentment that you're looking for.
Absolutely. So it's a lot of information that we just covered here. And looking at the Take Back Your Life, we're going to be live in Kansas City. Kim is coming all the way from Australia to
I'm excited.
Kansas City. Yes. And we're going to dive a lot deeper into a lot of the things that we went over. I know we gave you a lot of information on where our problems come from and why we have the triggers that we have. But what we really want to do at this event is, if you find yourself being stuck in these cycles that keep on repeating, we want to give you tools that you can strengthen, you can enhance, you can love, and you can free yourself. You can let go of the past and all of those triggers. Learn how you can reconnect your mind with your heart and your body. This event, 4-day seminar, is going to be August 8th through 11th. We're going to be at the Stoney Creek Hotel in Independence, Missouri. That's right by the Bass Pro Shop in Independence.
And I want to say, Carolyn,
Mhm.
want to let everybody know this is a very experiential seminar that we're doing. We are going to teach you so many techniques that you can make to use to change your own life. So please, it's exciting. Please become aware that you do have the power to make that change. And we want to share with you exactly how you can do it.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you said that, Kim, because you're absolutely right. It is an experiential event. There will be a lot of engagement at the event. And I also have to think about what I shared earlier about my 10-year journey to getting to the answers. As you were going through and talking about a lot of the things that you shared earlier, Kim, I just had to think, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've heard these things like so many times, but there's a lot of things that I had, a lot of triggers that I had in my life, and I still have triggers that happen sometimes, but it's the understanding that I have the power to either, I don't have to let those triggers continue, which is what I'm so excited about. Being able to, one of the big things that I'm passionate about is for people to understand that we have the power. It's not even Kim and I don't have the power. We want you to have the power. We want you to take your life back. So I'm really, really excited about that. So let's talk about the next steps. Sign up to come to the Take Back Your Life event. So we are going to have a very special webinar offer for you for a very limited time here. A regular price for the event is $12.97. But for being here on the webinar, for joining us, there is a promo code webinar that you can use that will drop the price down $400, and you can come to the event for $897 only. So your step 2, click on this link here to get started. The webinar special is good for 48 hours only. Very important here because, like I said, the regular price is $12.97. And in the promo code section down at the bottom, you're going to need to add the word webinar. You need to use a capital W for that to get the special for only $8.97. We're excited to have you here, not just here joining us on the webinar here, but also excited to have you join us live in Kansas City.
One of the reasons that we're so excited and we're running such a great promo is because we're bringing this from here in Australia over to the United States. This is our pilot program, and we're excited to share it with you because we are really building Art of Transforming Lives coaching program. You don't have to want to be a coach, but the tools that you're going to pick up in this program that's going to help you change your life will absolutely be inspirational. It's not something that you want to miss.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that, Kim. It is a coaching program. So whether you are an individual where you just want to have change in your life personally, the Take Back Your Life is absolutely for that, for you to take back your life. If you are passionate about helping people and you feel like you have a calling in your life to help people bring change in their life, and this is the start. This is where we start here. And I'm so excited, like you said, Kim, to launch this. This is our launch. So exciting. This is 7 years ago when we met. And I felt it then. I said, we're going to be doing this. And here we are 7 years later, and we're bringing this to others. I'm so excited about it. I can't wait to have you join us in Kansas City. So use that promo code. Take advantage of being in our first ever live. The Art of Transforming Lives, the Take Back Your Life is the first in the series of the Art of Transforming Lives. And we're excited to be able to offer this at this discounted rate.
I can't wait to get to Kansas City and meet you all. That's the truth. I cannot wait to come over. I have run this transformational coaching program here in Australia. And so, what's so exciting is being able to team up with Carolyn and come to the United States. There couldn't be a more important time in history for you to take your power back. This is it here.
We've been giving our power away for way too long. Absolutely.
Just want to say thank you for everybody who's joined us so far. Please go ahead and click that link, and we look forward to seeing you in Kansas City.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Don't delay. You got 48 hours to get the promo. So don't delay, and we'll see you there.